What's up, everybody? Welcome on into the slate. It's a Thursday sports edition. That means we're going to cover more than one sport. In fact, we're going to do a little potpourri. We're going to bounce all around. Adam Kaufman here. Of course, it is day one at the Masters, so we will begin there, but we will also mix in some NBA, some MLB, some NHL. I don't think there's anything too notable happening in the football world, but if we come across something in the next half hour or so, we'll get it to you. With Gary and Thorne, Jeff Ulrich as well. Moose, how are you?
Doing great, man.
Gary lurking in the background, or is he here with us up on the? There he is. Yeah, I had to pull up the screen to see what the people were seeing. Gary, how are you?
Doing good. Excited to talk a lot of sports today.
Yeah, it's what we do. And look, round one of the Masters, just the Masters in general. It kind of, I know it doesn't literally sort of tee off, for lack of a better pun, the golf season. But this is when more and more people with the first major start actually paying attention and investing and getting excited. And I know that's certainly the case inside the DraftKings walls. Everybody is just bouncing off the walls with Masters excitement. Round one is not completely in the books yet, Moose, but back nine for those that are still on the course at this point. Viktor Hovland is probably the surprise story of the day. 7 under, sitting in the clubhouse. He is tied for the lead with Jon Rahm. No surprise that he is there, obviously. And Brooks Koepka is there as well. You have Cam Young, couple strokes back. Jason Day as well, who has one hole still to go before he wraps up his day. So maybe he can move into solo fourth. We'll see. But what are the big takeaways so far for you on day one?
Yeah, no, Viktor Hovland, great start for him. You know, the player who we know has a lot of talent, who I think his main deficiency is around the green. If he can just be average there, he's going to be able to hang. The big story, I mean, the big news is Jon Rahm. I mean, Jon Rahm getting up there is scary for anybody else. I mean, if, this is a player who just dominates long, tough golf courses. He has shot some good rounds at Augusta before. Never really been in like deep contention on Sunday though. So a little bit of new territory for him too, but like, this is, this could certainly be the year. I think that there's two people that you really need to keep an eye on. And one of them you just mentioned is Jason Day. I'm very impressed with Jason Day's comeback so far. He looked really good at the match play at Scheffler down there. He's having a really good back nine here. If he hangs in contention, I think you're really going to see him hang around on the weekend. He's the experienced guy. He's like the Tiger Woods of this season, in the sense that he may just wait everybody out. So I'm very interested to see, like I was live betting right now. I'd be interested in him if you're looking to invest or whatever. And then obviously Spieth is still on the course. Finau's still on the course as well. Potentially could make some moves, but the three names up there. I mean, Koepka it's really interesting with Koepka too. I mean, like Day, Koepka, Rahm, Hovland. I don't want to discount Cam Young, but those are the four guys right now for me. Really good start. Things are going to get super messy over the next couple days. So you could see, one of these two guys fall off. Going to be really interesting to see how Hovland handles the poor weather. And if he has to scramble more, we'll see how that holds up. But yeah, really, really good start to this event, man. There's so many big names up there. Going to be a good week.
The favorites going into this thing, they each had plus 700 odds, Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler. Scheffler, of course, after winning last year. And he's very much in the mix. He's 3 under right now. He's through 13. So who knows? He could be sitting there at the top or near the top come the end of the day. Rory, a little bit of a slower start. He is still on the greens there, or on the links.
He's over par.
On the links. Yeah, but he's
got 4 holes to go.
He's sitting one over. So it's not a great start for Rory, for your outrights out there, anyone that made the bets.
It's a terrible start for Rory. Let's just call it what it is. This is softer scoring. This is more of the same that we've seen from Rory McIlroy at Augusta. It's just, Augusta is interesting. It fits some people's eye really well. And to me, it's just a struggle for some players. It was a struggle for Sergio Garcia for 20 years. I think McIlroy could figure it out eventually, but, just seems to be in his own head at this event. And it looks, with all the names and how fast they've started, he is way behind the 8 ball already.
Yeah, and obviously he's got, still not quite a round.
I mean, there's time to make it up.
He's got a lot of time. Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at surprises from the other end, like one of the bets that I placed last night when I'm sitting there just on my phone, firing them off as people are doing here in Massachusetts now that we're live mobile betting. I bet Phil to miss the cut, 1 under on day one.
Not bad for Phil. All in all, pretty good showing for the live guys too, just in general. Obviously, Kepka up there is massive for them. The live guys would absolutely love to see that. Joaquin Niemann was actually, I don't know where Niemann is. He's fallen off a bit. He's having a decent round. Patrick Reed was okay. So I mean,
from Niemann.
Yeah, Kepka's is carrying the team right now, but it's it's a decent showing for them. And no one's fallen too bad. Cam Smith's a bit of a disappointment, but I wasn't expecting too much from Cam Smith. I think just even if the live guys just get one guy in contention, that's going to be like a minor win for them, to be honest.
What do you think of Spieth sitting 3 under, and he's still on the course too? He's got 4 holes to go, 5 holes to go.
Spieth is a guy I bet pre-event. He loves this course. He had a really good run up. Was good at the Valspar. I think if he can just hang around, he doesn't need to go crazy today, but he's had a really good round. He's been scrambling well, made a couple putts early. He's got the par 5s to go. He just needs to get into like 4, 5, just keep the deficit low, try and make a run. He looks good though. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Jordan Spieth puts a little, again, doesn't need to go crazy here, but if he can just hang around, he'll have his chance on Saturday.
The man I like to call Tom Ace, not an ace, but an eagle. Tom Kim, thank you, Eamon, with the eagle on the last hole. He goes to 4 under. So he's T5 right now. And again, he's through 13. So he's got a lot of time left as well. This, the top of the leaderboard could certainly be shaken up by the time, not by the time we're done here, but by the end of the round anyway. What do you think about his placement so far?
Yeah, no, Tom Kim had a bit of a slow stretch, but obviously, the talent coming through, very talented player. Not shocked that he's starting to pick it up on the back nine either. Had a bit of a slow kind of start after starting off the season hot, but this is his first event. I mean, to go 4 under here through 13 holes. My worry about Tom Kim is kind of the same with Hovland, is can he hold up if the weather gets bad? I think in the softer scoring, that's going to favor Tom Kim, but if the weather gets bad, we'll see. Nice round for him though, but not a player I'm expecting to necessarily be there late Sunday.
How you feeling about Tiger Woods just making the cut? Never mind, being in contention or anything like that. 2 over in round 1. Do you think there's any chance? Should we hold out hope?
Oh, I mean, there's a chance. I mean, he's 1 off the cut line, I believe, right now. I mean,
I don't know. Usually when he starts like this, I kind of expect it to get worse.
I mean, look, he's playing on one leg. He's he has trouble walking, so that's tough considering they have to walk 18 holes. He's probably, if you were giving him odds right now, you'd probably put his odds at like plus 120, plus 130 to make the cut. He's probably an underdog, but there's certainly a chance. Tiger absolutely grinds. Like there's nothing he hates more in the world than missing a cut, especially at a big event. Like he's going to do everything he can. If I was saying which side to bet, I would bet on him to make the cut. I don't think he had a single birdie. He had one. It actually had a couple birdies today. So he's just got to clean it up. It's there, but poor weather tomorrow. I don't know. But man, Tiger just grinds in these spots. I won't be shocked if he makes it.
You okay with your, Louis Oosthuizen? I know it wasn't the best day for him.
I mean, it's that's long gone. He's on another tour. We've broken up.
I'm sorry to hear that. Tony Finau, there's just kind of in this mix of whether it's Finau, I was going to bring up Colin Morikawa as well. Both these guys are still on the course right now and sitting 1 under. So again, these are guys that could move to 3, 4 under by the end of the day, or they could sit right around where they are ultimately. But Matt Fitzpatrick, if you want to put him in that same category, just guys that are still in progress that are, all floating in that same range. What do you think of their starts to this point?
It's not bad for Finau. He's actually got an eagle chance coming up here. I think he's done well to hold serve. He bogeyed the first, made a cut. He's got the putter going, which is nice to see for Finau. Finau does fall in that kind of Hovland bucket. He's a better around the green player than Hovland is, but it can hold him back at times. But if his putter shows up, he can make her on. The thing about Finau is he could sit at 1 under here and he could birdie 3 holes in a row, like in a flash. So I think him just being around, even if he gets in at like 3 or 4 under, he's going to have a chance. I got a lot of love for Tony Finau this week. I don't know if this will be it, but he certainly has been okay. Like I said, he overcame that bad bogey to start, and he sunk some putts, which is really good to see if you're on him.
You mentioned for those interested in live betting, what's the approach, for anyone that might be just sort of diving into the golf betting world for the first time with the Masters, because, everyone's flocking to it. Once once it's underway and you've made all your top 40, top 20, top 10, your outrights, your make, miss, cut, all that good stuff that we had fun with going into the tournament, that, you know, there have been hours of strategy throughout this week on all the DraftKings content. Now that we're underway, what are you looking at?
I mean, you know, just looking for guys who could potentially make a run up the leaderboard. Like I said, I mean, it's round one. You know, I don't know if you need to go crazy here or anything like that. You're probably, you know, unless you want to take a shot with like a guy like Rory who's far back. But I mean, you know, the Masters, I don't want to say it's been like it's a front running event, but you've got to understand what the weather is bringing us. I don't know how much chance there is for guys to put in low rounds after today. Like, I think this is probably going to be the best scoring we get all week. So you need to take that into consideration. And really, like live betting, you know, you're just looking for guys who may be undervalued, just like in any pregame bet. So, you know, the one thing I would say is that the morning players may have a bit of an advantage. So the PM wave from today going to be going off a little bit earlier. I think that if they can get their round in tomorrow, that's better than potentially the afternoon guys who may be running into some, you know, heavier afternoon winds. And then also if the round gets pushed back into Saturday or something, that's even worse. So I would say there's an advantage to probably getting guys in the morning wave if you're looking at live betting. Jason Day, Tony Finau, Spieth, like those guys will be in the morning. Burns. So that's probably what I would be looking at if I was looking at the live odds right now. It'd probably be a big factor. Trying to pick a wave and just maybe targeting a player or two from that.
As it was, we started 2 hours late today, didn't we? Wasn't this thing supposed to start at 6 a.m. and it was closer to 8?
May have. I don't, just because of where I live, I didn't.
Yeah. Either way, it was going to be underway by the time you woke up.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything to add before we, well, I'll give you a quick story and we'll switch sports after that, but anything that's actually important that you would like to add with respect to what we've seen so far? What's to come?
I mean, you know, like the big news for DFS and betting is like Will Zalatoris obviously being out of this event. That is unfortunate. Obviously Zalatoris is a player who had some risk. So, you know, that stinks. If you don't have him or you don't have exposure, you basically got your rake paid for in the DFS streets. But no, I mean, that, you know, watching this play out again, I think my big takeaway is just don't expect the same kind of scoring that we saw today the rest of the tournament. I think it's going to turn into a real grind fest. I think the players who did get out early today are going to have a pretty big advantage because I think it's going to be hard to make up strokes. So I'm not looking for like players who can make a big comeback, but you know, this is also weather contingent. Maybe this gets pushed to Monday and we get more good scoring, but if it does play out how the forecast has it, I think it's going to be tough for the players who started slow to make up ground.
All right, my quick story, my quick little Masters related story. So I don't know that I will ever have the privilege to go to Augusta, which obviously, you know, I'm not like the biggest golf guy in the world, but I feel like for any sports fan in general, going to Augusta is kind of one of those bucket list items, either to experience it or simply to say, hey, I've done it, so you can brag to the people that really care and would love to do it, that, you know, you've been and they haven't. Well, so our guy Colin Sherwin, for those that don't know, he was just on the show with us on Friday doing a little college hoops talk, and so he went this week on Tuesday. He had like a day pass for Tuesday, so obviously before the tournament started, but he got to go in and do whatever. But the big thing for, again, I'm sure you guys know, but for anyone who doesn't know, is there are no cell phones there. You got to like leave your phone behind or check it at the door or whatever the hell the way it works there. But you cannot bring in a phone or take pictures, have communication with the outside world. Basically, you're in Narnia when you go to Augusta, and everything is like, it's aside from being like the happiest place on earth for golf people, it's dirt cheap. Everything, souvenirs, merch, the food menu. Like somebody sent out a tweet the other day that you could, I think it was DraftKings actually, that you could buy literally every item on, and there are a lot of food and drink and everything. You could buy one of every item on the Masters menu for like 60 or 70 bucks. It's insane. And so Colin, when he was going, he said, hey, I'm taking orders. If anyone wants anything from the merch stand, let me know. And I thought, you know, I'm probably never going to go there. So yeah, I'll grab something, but you can't go online and look up like the Augusta shop, you know, like the gift shop. You have to just kind of assume that that stuff is nice and like, oh, get me a hat, get me a t-shirt, whatever. So I watched this video. I will wrap this up. I watched this video though, and it said it was like this woman who's been 1,000 times, and she's like, the things you have to get if you go to Augusta. And the number one item, it seemed like consensus. The number one item was a chair, like a folding chair, that people take from hole to hole to sit down and watch. And it has like a nameplate on the back. You write your name in, like your own little golf chair, but it's got the Masters logo and all that. It's like $30. So I said, yeah, Colin, I want a chair. Like, can you get me a chair and then ship it to me? So he gets the chair. He goes to the post office. This chair that's $30 or $35. You know how much the post office wanted to then ship me the chair in Massachusetts?
Probably like $100.
$90.
Yeah.
So Colin reaches out after. He says, "Don't worry, found a workaround. You're just not getting a box." They just taped a sticker to the chair and shoved it in the mail. So here's hoping it doesn't show up broken. But I will be doing future shows from the chair. That's why I wanted to share that with you.
Keep us updated.
Yeah, I know you care. I'll be honest. I thought that would be mildly more engaging than it was. Alas,
I would legitimately like to see what the chair looks like.
Yeah,
like.
well,
And I also am interested if the U.S. Post Office keeps it in one piece. I would give you,
or just keeps it,
or just keeps
Yeah.
it. Is what I was going to say.
I don't think you have very good odds of seeing the chair, at least in one piece, but we'll see.
At least he got that mail insurance or whatever for up to whatever $10. All right, let's go NBA, because Garen's been just sitting here hanging out for the show. Let's talk. Actually, even before NBA, let's talk a little baseball, because baseball's underway.
Okay.
It's been a big a lot of action over the course of the afternoon so far, limited in the evening. What has stood out to you, Garen, either about the early part of this season, aside from quicker games, or just specifically today?
I mean, in general, it's just kind of the things that we thought might happen. I would just say the rules are doing what they were projected to do, which I think everyone should be pretty happy about. We won't get too into how quick the games have been, but like, heck, the Red Sox played a 2-hour, 30-minute game today. Koff, you've been a Red Sox fan for 30 years.
Sure.
How often do the Red Sox play a game that's less than 3 hours?
Oh,
Once
never.
every 6 years?
Yeah, crisp 232 today. That doesn't happen.
So that's working. But in terms of stuff that actually relates to fantasy, I know friend of the DraftKings network, Eric Halterman, off and on for the sweat in the mornings, tweeted out some stats from before today started, but essentially what the last 5 years, the first week of the MLB season has been versus this season's first week. BABIP is up, batting average is up about 15 points, stolen base rate, success rate is up, stolen base per plate appearance is up substantially. It really does seem like baseball's getting what it wants, which, look, there's no way to fix the amount of balls that are being put into play. I think that ship has kind of sailed. I know some people have talked about maybe putting the mound back a little farther than 60 feet, 6 inches. Maybe we'll cross that bridge one day in a couple years. But just with the stuff that most pitchers feature nowadays, I think it's an uphill battle trying to get more balls into play. However, the balls that are being put into play are being hits at a higher rate. It seems like teams are utilizing their speed much more than they had before, which is a big part of baseball's strategy to kind of show people, hey, baseball also has athletes, and they're quite good when they're allowed to use their skills on the field. So I just think it's been an overwhelming success. I would say, this might be a time where you can try to take advantage of some more stolen base props and things of that nature on the DraftKings Sportsbook. But if I'm being honest, the Sportsbook has caught on pretty quickly that stolen bases are up, and a lot of these totals are way down from the numbers we saw last year.
Maybe you could help me and anyone else out there wondering for people that might be newer to betting baseball. And I don't know how you feel about, I know you mentioned stolen bases, but how you feel about props in general versus just, betting run lines and whatever it may be, straight up money line. But I have been delving into a lot with pitching props, in particular, obviously strikeout over unders, which is always fun. But you know, what you learn very quickly is just how good the odds makers are at making the lines, because the projections generally are, you know, very, very close to, you know, if a guy's over under is 4.5, the projection is probably it's either going to be 4.2 or it's going to be 4.7, you know what I mean, depending on where you're looking at your projections. Do you have a strategy when it comes to betting those props that you know, you sort of work into your thought process, I guess, beyond obviously just sort of looking at raw data?
Sure. I think that when it comes to strikeout props in particular, I also enjoy betting some strikeout props. Don't get me wrong. I think you really have to be careful to pick and choose the scenarios you want to attack. Because like you said, the lines are very, very, very good. And generally speaking, even if you have a projection system, it's going to spit out a number that's incredibly close to the line that's given, or you're going to be in a situation where you're betting like an over that seems good based on your projection, but you're having to eat like a -175 on it or something along those lines. So I think it's case by case, but one area where sometimes the book is falling asleep slightly, I've found, it comes down to handedness. And some pitchers just have such massive gaps in their individual strikeout rate between splits. You know, someone who's a really good example is like Christian Javier, who the starter for the Houston Astros, who last season had a 33% strikeout rate for the year. I mean, and he's great. He's an elite strikeout pitcher, regardless of context. However, he had a 40% strikeout rate against right-handed batters and a 21% strikeout rate against left-handed batters, because his primary pitch is a devastating slider that moves away from right-handed batters and moves into left-handed batters. So sometimes you have to take a look at lineups. Sometimes you might have to wait till a lineup comes out, because managers are getting a lot better at stacking lineups with platoon splits. This isn't just like a Tampa Bay Rays thing anymore. Every team is doing this. But there are occasions where you'll find, you know, a Javier will go up against a lineup that just does not have that many left-handed bats. And those are the kind of situations you want to attack. So I would say going into a slate, knowing if there are any pitchers starting that just have those massive platoon splits when it comes to their strikeout rates is a really good starting point if you want to kind of take advantage of that market.
Yeah, or you could just take the not easy, because there are no guarantees in sports, but the more likely, although equally challenging in a different way, route that I've started to jump into the last couple of days, which is just you know, lower alts in a parlay. You know, the number won't be number won't be as favorable as obviously if you were betting the straight up what the over under is, but more manageable as long as you're tacking on a whole bunch of legs. That's the give and take.
There's a lot of ways to if you really know the book well and how to navigate it, and it's something you'll pick up the more and more you bet. There are times when you can find similar versions of the same bet. Like, again, everything is technically a different bet, and everything technically is weighed properly because there are extenuating circumstances for a lot of things. But let's use tonight as an example. You've got the Dodgers going up against the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers are -155 on the money line because they're a better team, despite the fact that they are on the road. Merrill Kelly was also incredibly lucky when he faced the Dodgers last week in his first start of the season. He went 3 2/3 innings, scoreless, technically. However, in that span of time, he walked 4 batters, gave up a 66.7% hard contact rate, and gave up 2 barrels. Essentially, his expected WOBA on batted ball events was around 600. He got very lucky in that game. The Dodgers, now seeing him for the second time in a week, are likely going to tee off on Merrill Kelly tonight. However, I don't want to bet the Dodgers at -155 to win this game. I don't even want to particularly bet them on the run line at -105, because that's not that great a number either. So what I'm going to do tonight is bet Dustin May to record a win at +155. Now, again, this comes with some risk. May has to go 5 innings. The Dodgers also have to take a lead while May is still in the game. There's a reason not every pitcher wins every game he starts that his team wins. However, I think Merrill Kelly is going to be the reason the Diamondbacks get down early in this contest. So for this instance, I'm kind of just picking the Dodgers to win. However, I'm finding a way to do it at +155. Another example tonight, Blake Snell. Blake Snell is going up against the Braves. Blake Snell is very good, and he actually got a little unlucky in his first start. I think he's much better than what he showed against the Rockies back on opening day. However, the Braves might have the best lineup at hitting left-handed pitching in all of baseball. So when you look at Snell's props tonight, Snell to give up over 2.5 earned runs is plus 105. However, Atlanta, their team total for the first 5 innings is also at 2.5. It is plus 120 to the over. Blake Snell might very well come back to face the lineup a third time through in the 6th inning, and that's when he gets rocked. But Blake Snell is a guy who has struggled with his control for the majority of his career. He only threw 4 1/3 innings in his first start. We are very early in the season. I would be shocked if Blake Snell throws more than 5 innings, regardless of how effective he is in this game. So essentially that's the same bet, but you get plus money or better money at plus 120 by simply just taking the Braves team total. So again, there's some fun ways to basically bet the same thing if you really know how to navigate the book.
Of course, sometimes the unforeseen happens, like in this Rockies Nationals game, where if I remember right, the over-under going in was like 10.5, and it's 1-0 Colorado in the 7th inning, and they've stranded a zillion runners, the Rockies. So you never quite know how real life is going to play out.
Betting baseball is exceedingly frustrating. That's another lesson you should probably learn.
Yeah, I'm learning it very quickly. We'll get back to, we'll do basketball, but let's do pucks first. Moose, you got a hefty slate tonight in the NHL. What are you looking at? What are your favorite bets?
Yeah, 14 games. This is the time of year where it's just, you've got 2 teams that are just such big dichotomies in terms of, like motivation and what's on the line, and obviously just play too. Like some of these teams are bringing up minor leaguers. Some of them have traded away all their good players. So let's start with the Kraken. They can lock up a playoff spot tonight. They just beat the Coyotes 8-1 the last time they played, which was like last week. This is actually very similar to what Garen was talking about. I'm not sure if I really want to take them on the puck line and pay minus 130, but you can look at them in the team total department. They're probably going to put up 4 or 5 goals again, and you're getting better odds. You could ladder bet them. You could go over 4.5. I also think just looking to their player props are really good. There's some really good value on the goal scorers for the Kraken. Jaden Schwartz, if I can find the goal scorer.
I'll bring it up for you. I clicked on
plus 190. Jaden Schwartz has a goal in 3 of his last 5 games. He's shooting the puck more. I think it's a very fair bet considering the opponent. So that's kind of how I'm playing the Kraken. I mean, you could just take them at minus 132, but I kind of like looking for those bigger odds plays. And then another team that I think is going to score a lot of goals tonight is the New York Rangers. You can get better odds on them on their team total too. Like you can just play the straight up team total there. I can get it up. So Kraken and then the Rangers, 9th best power play going up against the 5th worst penalty kill in the Blues. The Blues just, their defense stinks. Jordan Binnington isn't good. Minus 125 for over 3.5 goals. It's probably my favorite bet on the slate. I think that's very fair odds. The last time these 2 teams played was in December. The Rangers put up 6 goals. It was a wide open affair. The Rangers forward, the Rangers are better now. They have Tarasenko. They basically took a player from St. Louis and put him on their team. So like they're just a better team now, and they've weakened the Blues by doing that too. So I think that's just a really good line. I think the Rangers are going to put up they've scored 11 goals in their last 2 games. I think they're going to put up another 5 or 6 banger tonight. So again, you can get over 5.5 goals at plus 410. I'm very interested in that. That's a really good line. So yeah, Rangers to score a bunch of goals as well. And then just a couple more traditional bets. Call them whatever you want. I like the under on the Boston Maple Leafs game. Boston's out without a couple players. I think Ryan O'Reilly's playing for the Leafs tonight, but I mean, he's not going to play a huge part. There's nothing on the line for these 2 teams. You got really good goaltending. I think the under there is a very solid bet. And then I also like for a money line play, Vegas Golden Knights minus 120. Kings are missing 3 key players. Kings are 3-7 in the last 10 games. Golden Knights are 6-3-1. Not sure why this line is so close. Vegas is at home. They're a better team. I think those are really good odds.
DFS, anybody jump out at you before we go to hoops?
DFS, I mentioned the Rangers. I mean, I think that the Rangers' top power play stack here is awesome. Fox, Kreider, and Mika Zibanejad. That's a great trio to start with. It's going to be a little lesser owned. I think a lot of people are going to be rostering the Florida Panthers, which is fine. Florida's in a massive spot too, but I think the Rangers get lower ownership. So those are the 2 teams I'd be looking for stacking. If you can get Nathan McKinnon in lineups, fine. If you're going to go off McKinnon, a guy like Dylan Larkin is going to be a really good target at center. I don't mind stacking like some Red Wings either. The Buffalo Sabres allow a ton of shots. starting like a third stringer in net. And then on defense, Aaron Ekblad is kind of a must play for me at 5,800. Gets the exposure to Florida as well.
All right, let's do basketball. I've hyped it up enough, and we've got about 5 minutes left in the show. Gary, the amount of injury news that has just messed around with this week with I feel for those, and I am one of them, so I guess I feel for myself as well. But those playing in your season-long championship.
Oh, buddy, you got to end that a week early.
Yeah, well, I didn't design the league, and guys are getting ruled out like crazy. It's a war of attrition. Who actually has bodies?
Hope you picked up Skylar Mays.
I might for tonight, to be honest.
Like playing season-long NBA is like a job. Like,
yeah, it's not been fun the last 3 years. I can confirm that.
No, it is. Yeah, it started with COVID, and it's the COVID effects.
Like being an Uber delivery driver.
Yeah,
it's a side gig.
Or the guy delivering my chair. What are you looking at tonight, Gary, and with lines that have obviously adjusted over the course of the day?
So I don't want to go full Julian Edlow here and just tell you guys about bets that you can't bet anymore. But I will say,
however,
never go full Julian.
The one thing I was fairly certain of this morning, the Suns were sitting at -7, and the writing was on the wall that the Nuggets were going to rest Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. They were technically questionable, but they had locked up home court advantage in the West last night. Even when they have played Jokic the last little bit, there was that game against the Rockets. He only logged like 24 minutes. So they're really coasting to the finish here. They went and added every other starter to their injury report this morning. It seems like they're just going to full on rest everybody today.
Yeah.
So I'm still comfortable betting the Suns -12 because I was suggesting betting the alt lines this morning anyway. It's just, you're kind of late to the draw here if you're still betting this stuff. Cavs Magic, I mean, that's literally a G League game. I don't know if you can feel any way about it. 76ers -2 is interesting. They really have everything locked up already. But I was sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop all day today, where we'd find out Embiid and Harden were not going to play in this contest. We're getting pretty close to tip, and that hasn't happened yet. So I'm relatively comfortable taking the 76ers at home if you want to do that. And yeah, DFS, oh man. There is just
value all over the place.
There is no shortage of value. Exactly. I would say, to kind of go team by team in terms of just who's completely given up. Cavaliers, I would say Raul Neto, my favorite guy. Ricky Rubio technically going to play in this game, but they've rested every other player of value tonight. I don't think Rubio is going to play that much. Neto is the bare minimum. Had a similar game like this against Detroit in February where the Cavs rested everybody. He played 36 minutes, scored 34 DraftKings points. Magic, Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, probably your two best guys there. They're going to play a ton of minutes, have the ball in their hands, an absolute ton. I mentioned Skylar Mays already. He's a little bit more expensive. He's $6,400. There are 14 guys on Portland's injury report tonight. He is not one of them. Played 36 minutes, 24, 8, and 7. That was with Shadon Sharp in the lineup. I don't think he's going to play tonight, and that would just give Skylar Mays even more opportunity. There's a ton of Blazers below 4K who are going to start pick and choose between those guys. I mean, again, this is really just like play Joel Embiid, play Jimmy Butler. You could literally play like 3 superstars and then just find filler. Like, that's the kind of slate this is going to be. It's ugly out there, but like I said, there's value if you're looking for it. There is no shortage of it.
Is this going to be one of those nights that like I mean, it's going to be a 400-point night that ends up winning a GPP?
It's unclear because you've got some situations in Portland and San Antonio and Oklahoma City and Utah where, generally speaking, those are 2 up-tempo teams with no defense going up against each other. You would think that could lead to some pretty ridiculous scoring lines tonight. However, there's also a case to be made that just no one on these teams is any good. And are they actually going to make shots? So I don't know if 400 is going to be the thing, but there are definitely going to be some like 10x, 11x values out there below 4K. So this is going to end up being a relatively high scoring slate.
We're going to go in a second, but for people looking, in the next hour before lock to get their bets in, do you have favorite prop bets or just, like you said, not going full Edlow and talking about lines that don't exist anymore as we sit and stare at, where we're at right now. Like the game you were just talking about, 239.5 for a point total. I'm not saying it can't go over that. Of course it could. I just can't fathom actually betting on it to go over that.
Yeah, I would actually lean the under there. Like I said, you've just got two teams that, I mean, SGA is going to play in this game, so the Thunder could be very competent offensively. Technically speaking, they can still make the playoffs. It's up for debate whether or not they want to make the playoffs.
Right.
So they should want to win that game. SGA should be good. Josh Giddey should be good. It's a big number though. I would say in terms of props, Joel Embiid over 10.5 rebounds was paying plus money this morning. I assume it still is. I'd be pretty comfortable with that. Bam Adebayo is going to play in this game. He was questionable. He's now up to probable. But still, the Heat are generally relatively undersized, and you can really attack them on the offensive glass. So I would take Embiid. Scroll up just a little bit. I think maybe it was down to 9.5. But
it was down to 9.5. That's why I was looking at the alts, and his 10 plus is minus 155, and 9.5 is minus
9.5 minus 130 isn't terrible either. So you can take a look at that. But yeah, it's look, you really have to want to bet NBA tonight. And I'm saying this as a general thing. If you want to bet NBA the next 4 days, the best way to do it, right around like at the 30s, we're like talking like the weather and traffic here. That's when the injury reports drop. You're going to have to react quickly to this stuff because these lines are going to move so fast and they're going to move so massively than we've seen all season long that the way to beat the books the next couple of days is just being early. So it's more about being attentive than it is about being smart the next couple of days.
I'm not even sure, and I say this from very limited experience, I'm not sure you can be quick enough. Like I'll get I have the notifications on my phone for various, beat guys or centralized, Twitter accounts that are devoted to injury news and all. The second the tweet goes out, I'll log into the app, getting ready to place a bet, locks.
Yeah, it's
Instant.
fast. It's fast.
Yeah.
I mean, again, maybe the best way to do it is kind of just like in the morning, kind of look at the lines and just ask yourself which team needs this game. Does either team need this game? I think the last 3 days we've seen a couple examples. The Celtics opened as relatively big favorites against the Raptors on Wednesday. I think that game turned out to be a push actually, but that line moved 6.5 points. Milwaukee against the Bulls that same night. That line moved 5.5 points after Giannis was ruled out. We saw today the Suns line move 5 points from the time it opened at this morning. So there are situations where if you're paying attention, you can kind of guess what you think is going to happen. And generally speaking, if you're guessing people aren't going to play, that's the way it's going.
All right. Well, we're going to go. It's about that time. There are no Sims, as you might have guessed, given the fact that we are past the top of the hour. I will tell you on the way out the door here. I saw Air. It's phenomenal. The three of us, we like to talk movies from time to time. See Air. Make it a point. It is, there's a lot of hype around it. It lives up to the hype. Really enjoyed it.
Get some air in your life.
Yeah. Get some air in your lungs after all this talking. Thanks to Eamon. Thanks to Daniel, Moose, Gary, and I am Adam. The Sweat tomorrow morning at 11. More Masters talk, obviously, as well as reviewing all that happens tonight, tomorrow, and the slate tomorrow afternoon. I hope you enjoyed that as well. I think Moose will be in the driver's seat for that one. So thanks again to all for tuning in, watching, listening, all of that good stuff. We'll catch you again next time. Get your bets in.